Well, my name's Scott Ray. I'm professor of Christian ethics and dean of the faculty at Talbot School of Theology at Biola University. I have used the Theology of Work materials in a couple different contexts, and it's the same piece that's worked very well in both those settings. I teach undergraduate business ethics and then a course in the MBA program on ethical decision making. And one of the topics that we take up in both of those, both the graduate and undergraduate level, is the area of truth-telling, disclosure, and deception. And so the piece that the Theology of Work project published on truth-telling and deception has been a very useful tool that we can refer students to if they have additional questions, comments, or want to read much further on the subject. I found that piece is really well nuanced, and it contains a lot of what we talk about with students, but goes, I think, a little bit deeper than we're able to go in the class discussion. So going forward, we're going to require that as part of our syllabus for both of these courses. Some of the main questions that have come out of that discussion from the truth-telling and deception piece have to do with the ethics of bluffing and the ethics of information disclosure. Bluffing has been used very successfully and shrewdly, but asking questions about whether it's ethical or not. And the distinction that the piece makes, that bluffing is really only of value when you have an unlevel playing field for information, which suggests that really bluffing is really only advantageous when it's done in an unethical fashion. That's a very new concept to a lot of students who have come from different parts of the world. For a lot of students who are raised in the U.S. or more in the West, they tend to think of truth-telling as an absolute, absolute, absolute with never any exceptions. And so we try to suggest to them that the biblical principles that prohibit deception are what we call a prima facie moral absolute, which means that there might be periodic exceptions to that when it conflicts with another very important moral principle. So we suggest to them that deception is not always morally wrong. Deception, we ought to call it for what it is, but there are justifiable deceptions and unjustifiable deceptions. For example, undercover police work we would say is a justifiable deception. Military intelligence gathering would be a justifiable deception.